From the Lower Colorado River Authority, this is Wavelength.
The creation of this new river authority will help electrify rural Texas.
And so today, we gather here to dedicate this mighty structure, the Cannondale.
But this has been a great organization for 60 years. It's going to be a great organization for a long time to come.
Hi everyone, welcome to the December 2001 edition of Wavelength. Well, on Thursday, November 15th, a violent storm moved through central Texas, spawning 9 tornadoes and dumping as much as 14 inches of rain in some areas. Dry creek beds became raging rivers, low water crossings disappeared, and many city streets became impassable.
Hey John, we were just checking to see, trying to get an estimate of when that's going to peak.
This is LCRA's River Operations Center, or ROC. During weather events like this, decisions about when and where to open floodgates on the Highland Lakes dams are made right here.
Since Bastrop was still rising, however, we've just decided to, and there was still rainfall in the lower basin, we've decided to hold off as much as possible on releases from Mansfield.
Those decisions are based in large part on real-time information coming in from gauges placed throughout the watershed, making up a network called the Hydromet system.
The Hydromet system gives us information not only about what stream flows are occurring at that time, but also gives us readings on precipitation that's occurring. That information helps us determine what kind of elevations we might see downstream in our reservoirs, whether we have to do floodgate operations. It also gives us an idea of whether our weather radar is accurately giving us rainfall estimates.
All of this data is fed into a computerized flood model, which helps engineers make very accurate predictions about lake levels and river flood stages.
One of the main things is just getting more gauges out there in the field. That's something LCRA's worked very hard on. We're adding approximately 40 gauges a year. Just having enough information on the ground for that model to work from is a big help to us. And every time we add gauges, it improves the results to our model. The other thing we have done is start using the radar information more directly in our computations, and that's also improved our model. We're able to run it either way, with or without radar.
This gauge, located on Wilbarger Creek near Elgin, is just one of 150 that currently make up the Hydromet system. During this flood event, LCRA crews from LaGrange, Burnett, and Austin were dispatched to various locations to collect some very valuable information.
We take the width of the stream and divide that up into a certain number of sections, and then measure the depth and measure velocities at each of the sections, and basically just go across till we get from one side to the other, add it up, and that's the total, gives us the total amount of flow and volume of water.
These numbers will be used to double check the accuracy of readings coming from the Hydromet gauges.
One reason it is very important is because we have a lot of cities downstream. Bastrop is downstream of this, LaGrange, Columbus, and the people, the residents who live in that area are relying upon us to give them accurate forecasts, accurate water levels, so that they can plan and react and do what they need to protect their property, to protect themselves. And so this information is used to help us give them an advance warning of what's coming at them so they can get ready.
Floodwaters from the Llano and Pedernales rivers brought Lake Travis up some 15 feet in just 48 hours, reaching its highest level in over 3 years. Mansfield Dam once again doing its job protecting downstream communities from further flooding.
The first Texas Recycles Day was celebrated in 1993, with public events emphasizing the benefits of recycling. 8 years later, 48 states have followed the Texas lead in educating their citizens about the positive impact recycling has on our environment. The LCRA joins scores of businesses, schools, and civic organizations around the state by hosting its own Texas Recycles Day event at the General Office Complex. There were tours and booths and displays on everything from water conservation to composting. Care for the air, recycle. That was the theme of Texas Recycles Day 2001. Most people are aware that recycling products, such as paper and aluminum, save landfill space and conserve our natural resources. But did you know that recycling also benefits air quality? For example, carbon emissions are 40 times lower when recycled cans are used to make aluminum as compared to using raw ore. LCRA chose this special day to unveil its latest clean air tool, 3 brand new cars from Toyota called Prius. Prius is a hybrid vehicle combining a gas engine with a powerful electric motor for high performance, fuel economy, and low emissions.
As you're driving it, when you brake or slow down, it regenerates the battery. So therefore you don't have to plug it in. And it gets better gas mileage actually in the city than on the highway from the constant braking and slowing down involved. Gets about 52 miles per gallon in the city and an average about 45 on the highway.
The new hybrids will be used as pool vehicles for LCRA employees at the GOC and Service Center. Another very important environmental initiative at the LCRA is the Green Building Program. Currently, the LCRA has construction projects at the Service Center, McKinney Ruffs, and West Cave Preserve, which all include green building principles such as recycled building materials, high-efficiency heating and air conditioning, and natural lighting.
There's actually a cost associated with building green buildings. We found that we can add at least 5% to the cost of the building, but what we're also finding out is that there is a payback, and we think we're going to realize a payback over the next 5 to 10 years, not even considering all the environmental benefits.
The idea behind Texas Recycles Day is to show us all that we can have a positive effect on the environment by what we as individuals do at work and at home.
We are said to be living in the information age. The internet, email, and satellites make ours a borderless society with instant communications possible worldwide. But here in Texas, many people are talking about the growing gap between people who have access to the internet and those who don't. This issue of information access is creating what some call a digital divide. The LCRA recently held 2 workshops designed to help rural communities in Central Texas tap available resources to bring high-speed internet access and community networking to their citizens.
I am keenly interested in high-speed internet access from an economic development standpoint. Everything that I do goes back to ED. Water goes back to ED. Everything is relative to economic development and providing jobs for your community and having smart growth in your community. So let me ask you a question. How many of you have high-speed internet access in your community?
The answer to that question depends very much on where you live. Fortunately, Texas has the Telecommunications Infrastructure Fund Board, or TIF, which provides grants to schools, libraries, healthcare facilities, and community centers so they can access the internet and other advanced technologies.
We are not going to invest funds in a community that cannot demonstrate its ability to sustain it once our grant dollars are gone. And that's critical because our grant dollars are short-term. If you get an implementation grant from us for a year or 2, there are no more opportunities for ongoing grants for the operation of the network.
With a population of 6,500, the city of Cuero is a prime example of how community networking can have an immediate positive impact. They have 40 computers at 6 locations around town, including the library, family learning center, and housing authority.
We actually started our education classes in March. We were originally estimating about 100 people to do a few classes during the year. As of right now, from March to November, we've educated over 1,200 people in Cuero on over 11 different classroom activities, from introduction to the internet all the way up to Microsoft Office classes.
The LCRA helped community leaders in Cuero develop their TIF grant proposal and teamed up with the Guadalupe Valley Electric Co-op to bring high-speed connectivity to their network.
Absolutely positive for the community of Cuero, and it goes to show the types of partnerships that when people are willing to sit down and work together with LCRA and GVEC and all the leaders of the community, that the types of things that can come from that.
And LCRA will have a different role than we've had. We've got to make sure that the communities take ownership of this conversation. It's got to surface from what the community needs are, so we'll be unique in each community. So we as LCRA will support them in whatever role they need us to play. There will not be a cookie-cutter approach to this. This will be an approach that will be specific about that community and about the variables that community are dealing with.
With America at war in Afghanistan, men and women who serve our country are receiving the respect they rightfully deserve. To wear a uniform today is as popular as it was back in the 1940s. And the LCRA celebrated this Veterans Day by not only honoring those who serve their country, but the families who stand behind them.
Thank you seems inadequate, but we do thank you for the sacrifices you and all the men and women who have served have made to ensure that the rest of us enjoy the freedoms that we so deeply cherish.
These are the faces of many of LCRA's veteran heroes. They are our fathers, our sons, brothers, and sisters. They were all welcome at LCRA's Veteran Appreciation event. Under the big tent, people came to say thank you, to find an old friend, and to learn more about the veteran in their own life.
Because of my dad being a veteran, I grew up knowing that he served in World War II, and that's sort of an abstract thing when you're a young child, but as you get older, Veterans Day is a great reminder because it brings into focus the personal experience and the stories that my dad shared with me and my brothers and our family.
To me, it's a time to remember, to reflect, and actually be thankful that there are people, men, women, and to lay down their lives so that we can be free, so that we can sleep at night.
The honorable nature of the day was not lost on General Manager Joe Beal, who remembers a time when America was not so kind to those who wore a uniform.
When I came back from Vietnam, you just didn't tell anybody you were a veteran, and you certainly didn't tell them that you'd served in Vietnam. After having gone 20-some-odd years with virtually not letting anybody know that I was a veteran, it's great to see how things have changed and to be able to participate in something like this today.
It didn't matter if you were a private or a general, a seaman or an admiral. All were honored equally.
And with that, I thank each of you, and that we may all continue to stand tall, to stand together, and more than anything, to stand ready.
The fact that the Lower Colorado River Authority put on this function and recognition of the veterans who serve the LCRA tells me a great deal about the values that this company holds, the priority that this company values, and this is a world-class company. I've seen it across the board, but I've seen it especially today as the veterans have been recognized in a very dignified and patriotic way.
It's known as West Cave Preserve. This cool, sheltered canyon was created about 100,000 years ago by the gradual collapse of an immense limestone cave. This clear running stream leads to the head of the canyon where a sparkling waterfall tumbles 40 feet over fern-covered columns into an emerald pool. Visitors can walk into a grotto behind the spring-fed waterfall and examine cave formations and lush plant life seen few other places in Texas. Some 10,000 visitors take guided tours through the preserve each year. Located in southwestern Travis County, about 40 miles from downtown Austin, this 30-acre site is protected for future generations through the efforts of West Cave's volunteers and staff and the LCRA.
Actually, you just hit the right place. Yeah, there you are.
With the turn of these shovels, ground was officially broken for the Warren Scarron Environmental Learning Center at West Cave Preserve. The late Warren Scarron, a very successful screenwriter, set up a trust which has been very supportive of West Cave Preserve over the years. John Arns has been associated with the preserve since 1974.
Well, this is something I've dreamed about from the time we sat in a little chair looking at the gate, to the firecracker stand, to the visitor center we have now, to the ultimate visitor center we will have in 300 calendar days. So I'm excited. It's going to be a new era for us. It's going to put us into a lot more visitation, a lot more use of the preserve as an educational facility for the region.
The new Environmental Learning Center will have indoor and outdoor classrooms, a wildlife viewing area, watershed and geological exhibits, and much, much more.
When you consider that you've got a building that, as I think an Environmental Learning Center will be a prize winner that people will come worldwide to see, and then you juxtapose it with the grandeur and beauty of West Cave, you've got a combination that I think will cause people to just wonder at how we were able to do all this. So I think it's going to be astonishing.
The LCRA is overseeing construction of the $1.9 million project, which includes the Learning Center, director's residence, and offices. Texas Parks and Wildlife provided a $750,000 grant for this project. LCRA added a $200,000 grant, with the remainder of funds coming from the nonprofit West Cave Preserve Corporation.
This new facility here at West Cave Preserve fits perfectly with LCRA's mission to provide environmental education and to provide opportunities for people to have a better understanding of the environment, which in turn leads to greater sensitivity and greater protection of the environment.
Construction is scheduled to be complete here at West Cave by fall of 2002.
Nothing but net.
Lynn Sherman is a busy man. With 2 sets of twin daughters, Lynn and his wife Molly have their hands full at home. But Lynn also has a full-time career.
I'm not sure.
Lynn came to the LCRA 3 years ago as an attorney specializing in water law. He is now in charge of governmental relations and community affairs. His group works with state legislators, county and community officials, keeping the lines of communication open between the LCRA and the people we serve. Lynn also has another passion, volunteerism.
To Lynn Sherman for outstanding leadership, 2001. Lynn?
Lynn Sherman was honored recently by the Austin Project for his tireless work in bringing better services to families and children in need. He helped create LifeWorks, which consolidated the efforts of several similar organizations dealing with health and human services in the community.
Lynn Sherman is my hero in the nonprofit world. I just think he represents the next generation of leaders in this community, and I think state and nationally, I think he has the ability to bring people together, to link them, and to make things happen.
So where does Lynn Sherman get the motivation and energy to do all this?
I have a wonderful spouse, and together we really work to try to allow each other to work on our other pursuits and to our lives in other ways. But it's not always easy. It's often difficult, but I think we get enough gratification from doing these other type of activities that we make it a priority and make it work.
Lynn says the awards banquet was a wonderful celebration of community, family, and friends.
In terms of thank yous, real briefly, I want to thank both the Lower Colorado River Authority, my current employer, and Bickerstaff Heath and Smiley, my former employer. You will not find 2 institutions that give back more to this community and this region than the LCRA and Bickerstaff Heath and Smiley, and I thank you very much.
In just a few minutes, this room is going to be filled with LCRA volunteers wrapping presents for kids at Christmas time. This is just another example of the kinds of things that the LCRA employees are able to achieve for the people that we serve here in Central Texas. You know, we've gotten a whole lot done this last year. We've been able to accomplish a lot more this year than we did the year before. We've been able to do that because people have worked harder and because people have really pitched in and helped. And I want you to know how thankful I am for that and how proud I am to be a part of this team that is getting so much done. But as we approach the end of the year, I want to extend to you my best wishes for a happy holiday season and a prosperous new year. And I'm really looking forward to the things that we're going to accomplish next year. We had some rough times this year. The September terrorist attack were horrible for the nation, but we here at LCRA stood our post, we did our job, we did what was expected of us, and we did well doing that. And for that I thank you. That has truly made us more united, and in some ways I think it has helped us pull together as a team. So again, I wish you a happy holiday. Be careful, come back safe, and I'm looking forward to next year. Thanks.